Again, here, very obvious. You can turn on ads for a simple kiss. If you are having a video where, again, you could be doing a vlog, you're kissing your partner, that's fine. If it's a movie and there's a kissing scene, that's also fine. But what we don't want to see is very sort of obvious adult content, which is what you can see on the right side.
Great. So we had actually a question around this. It's from a creator who's creating ASMR closed mouth eating content. She says many of her videos have been deemed sexual or sexually suggestive and therefore are not able to monetize. What's your take on that?
That's a very good question, because we do have a lot of ASMR content creators on the platform who are doing an amazing job. So well done for going into that sort of route. When you make this sort of content, we try to look at your intent behind it and how you word certain things. Now, with ASMR, again, it's a very niche area to go into. However, if the camera is sort of not too close to your mouth, for example, because that again makes it a bit sexual, we believe, you're well positioned away from the camera, and you make it very obvious what you're talking about, and you introduce the fact that it is ASMR content, then I don't see why we wouldn't monetize it. I'm not sure if you've tried to reach out to us and sort of ask for like an overall review of your channel and maybe give us examples of a few videos that have been flagged and say, hey, actually, I believe these videos should have been monetized. Can you please have another look? And then what we can do is have a look at your channel overall, right? And that will give us more context because, like I said at the beginning of the session, context is very, very important. We may see a scene in a video and we think, oh, actually, we don't want that. But when we understand what exactly you're trying to achieve, then it may help us understand your channel and your content better.
Great. Thanks so much. We also had a question from Sean asking whether LGBTQ plus content is monetizable. Definitely. I think no matter what type of content, it always depends on these the guidelines and what you show, what the content itself is. But generally, LGBTQ plus content is definitely monetizable.
Correct. Now moving on, again, very obvious. You should turn off ads. Should turn on ads for the right side. Here, a very clear example. On the right side is not something we want to see. On the left side, it's completely fine. Now, I have a quick question for everyone in the call. So I'd love to know, for those who haven't said anything, what sort of content do you create? And what kind of policies tend to bother you the most when it comes to creating content on our platform? So please help me, Marietta, because I know we'll have a
sorry, Dr. Chandas.
All right, greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Chandus. I am a health content creator and doctor in Nigeria. I create content related to maternal and child health, that's women and children health. And I've always wondered about this question because I've heard it said in some quarters that you have to be careful with how you portray children, especially crying children in your videos now. If I have to make content where I have a baby in the video, I was wondering how, I just want some clarity with regards to this. Thank you.
Of course, that's a very good question. So I actually also work with health creators like yourself. And when it comes to younger children or kids in any sort of video, we take it extremely serious because we have a category that is specifically made for kids, right? And when it comes to the content you upload, we do ask you, is it made for kids or not? And if it's not, it's completely fine. Now, any sort of content around kids needs to have a trigger warning, especially with kids crying, kids being affected by medical procedures, etc. So what I suggest that you do is that you're very clear at the beginning of your video on what exactly you're trying to achieve and what exactly you're trying to portray in this content. So again, you're trying to raise awareness for kids and sort of health issues that they may face in a certain region. Why are you trying to raise awareness? And are they crying because this is how it impacts them? Are they crying because these health issues are so prevalent in the society that they're living in or in the country that they're living in? Again, context is very, very important. And say it doesn't get monetized the first time, once a human reviewer sees the description or they see, you know, that you've clearly highlighted what the video is about, we will more than likely monetize your video.
Thank you, Grace.
No worries.
Yeah, great question. I can see we have a couple more hands up, but just in the interest of time, Grace, should we continue? We have 15 minutes left.
So I'm going to make the next few sessions quite brief. I intended to do that anyway, because I knew there would be a lot of questions, and I want us to have a lot of time for questions because I feel like there are a lot of good content creators in the room, and we want to give you guys the value from being on this call. So let's quickly breeze through the next areas. So inappropriate language. So we all know we don't want people to swear in the videos. Do not use the F word. You know, we all already know what swearing looks like or what any sort of thumbnails should and shouldn't have. So again, no need to dive too deep into this because we already know what isn't monetized when it comes to inappropriate language. Now, okay, this example just is not working. Okay, I'm gonna play 30 seconds of the first video on the left so that you can see what kind of language we do have on the platform. So Marietta, just the first one on the left for 30 seconds. Right, so it's a music video, it's an artist. We may allow such language simply because it's a song, you know, we all know it's music, and it's not too much of inappropriate language. The second video, unfortunately, can't be played, but that's okay. But this should sort of help you understand that, again, we will advertise some sort of inappropriate language, but not all. And this example I'm going to skip, and I'll move on to drugs. So when it comes to drugs, you know, there are many such as cocaine, crystal, meth. And when we look at content around those drugs, we are very, very vigilant as a platform altogether. So if you're a creator who's walking through a neighborhood in the US and you're trying to educate people on what happens when people take drugs, or, you know, certain areas where people are mostly impacted by drugs, we may allow you to monetize on the platform. However, if you encourage the use of drugs in your videos in any way, shape, or form, we will not tolerate it, and the video may also be taken down and not only just not monetized. So I have two quick examples of what kind of videos we may allow if you mention drugs, and what we may allow but probably won't be advertised by brands. So you can just play 10 seconds of the left video. Thank you, Marietta. So as you can see, you know, the first video is it's a song, it's about drugs, but again, it's not too obvious. Whereas the second one, you can physically see the drugs, and it's something we don't normally like to have on the platform, and a lot of brands like to stay away from that sort of content. So let's look at controversial issues and sensitive events very quickly. So when it comes to controversial issues, we have, you know, wars in several countries, death, like recently we had the Pope, and certain tragedies, political conflicts as well, as we've all seen in a lot of countries around the world recently. Again, we do like to monetize a lot of content, but if it crosses the line, for example, with any sort of personal opinion, or you know, you talking about death or someone's death in a way that isn't educational, then we will most likely not advertise it on the platform. So the first one, we have a news example here. So 10 seconds off the left and 10 seconds on the right, please.
It feels good. It feels good to get high. It's exciting. Invigorating. I know that early on, the first time I tried anything mind altering, it took me out of myself.
Amid the controversy involving the Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency, a former drug addict comes forward to share his experience with addiction and how drugs almost cost him.
Thank you, Marietta. So as you can see, the first one, we have Jake talking about his experience with drugs and how it makes him feel. We don't want that, because we don't want any teenagers or children or anyone for that matter to feel like they may want to experience the same feeling. And the second one is a news reporter talking about a drug addict who has overturned his life and is now completely sober, and that's completely fine as well. Now, the last one, thumbnail policy. We have dozens of creators talk about thumbnails, what they can do, what they shouldn't do. So let's go into it very quickly. When it comes to thumbnail, we look at the image, you know, is it shocking? Is it too much in your face? Is it a clickbait? We do not tolerate clickbaits on the platform. And people may think they get more views with clickbaits, but unfortunately we have a system that can see right through you, and we will not push your video up any further algorithmically, sorry, if it's a clickbait. Language. Again, are you using any bold language? Does it have any sort of inappropriate language? And what's the intent behind your thumbnail? Are you just trying to get people to click on it, to view it, and then the content is completely different? Just to let you know, we do review all of that. Okay, so no need to play anything here, but the one on the left, you can turn on ads because it's Halloween makeup. It doesn't look appealing, but it's makeup at the end of the day, so that's fine. And the second one is too much in your face. It's a lot of blood happening there, and we do not want to see that. Thumbnail, again, sexual content. What you can see on the left is a no-no. The right, completely fine. It's just a kiss. Now this one is quite interesting, because people tend to think that when it comes to religious themes, they can't have any sort of specific thumbnails, which is completely untrue. We as a platform encourage all religions, and we want to be educated on all religions in the world. Now, the right one is fine, but some brands may find it, a bit controversial, so they may not want to advertise or monetize. Whereas the one on the right, it's a Muslim woman, you know, perfectly fine, and we're happy to have this on the platform. Here again, the graphicness, very much in your face. It's not something we want to show. Thank you. I tried my best to get this done in 15 minutes, and I'm sure we had a few questions, and I would love to see many of you now in the chat asking questions the last 7 minutes. You know, if you feel like I didn't talk about your channel, I didn't talk about your content, speak up. I want to know. So yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I actually went through the chat and I handpicked a couple of questions that I thought we hadn't touched on yet. Andre is asking, he's posting Fortnite content and the sounds in his shorts sometimes get turned off for some reasons, even though he's creating with trending sounds. So I can take that question actually. When you create on shorts, it's very important that you use the actual sound from the artist rather than a sound that was maybe uploaded by a different creator. It can be that that sound is then taken off or that it can't be monetized. So just make sure that when you use trending sounds, that you actually use the sounds that are from the library. Now, sometimes you might get a notification, hey, that video can't be played out in certain countries. That's because sometimes songs are banned in countries like Russia, for example. Unless your audience is based there, it's not a problem for you, and you will not see like, you know, any performance dip or something like that. Then we have a question from Emanuela, who's running a commentary channel and is talking about serious and sensitive topics like violence, sexual abuse, other real-world issues. She noticed that some creators censor certain words. So, for example, they will say words like unalive or grape. Grace, what's your opinion on this?
So that's a very interesting one, because when it comes to commentary, you do need to be quite careful with what kind of language you use, simply because it's your opinion around content that has already been created. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. However, words like unalive shouldn't necessarily get flagged, so I'm quite surprised to hear that. However, it depends on how you say it and how it's worded. I'd love to see one of your videos. So maybe Marietta could send me your channel so I can have a look. And I would be more than happy to sort of see what exactly you mean, so I can get more context around your channel. So please do send me your channel, Marietta. Thank you.
Yeah, great. And then we have a question from Taif. I hope I pronounced that correctly. She posts dancing tutorials. Sometimes she uses copyrighted songs in her tutorials. She says, while I'm aware that I can't earn from such videos, will using copyrighted songs affect my channel monetization generally?
Yes, it will. So copyright is another world on its own. And you do need licenses, and you do need to have rights to the music that you're using. Now, most rights lie with labels, and you don't want to be in conflict with labels, because that will take your whole channel down. So don't go there. So it's quite tricky. So I would say you could try and use instrumentals maybe when it comes to very popular songs, or try not to use the whole song for too long, because it's quite difficult when it comes to the labels, the licenses, etc. And I could go on and on and on, but I suggest you stay away from it, because it does impact your channel. And the more strikes or copyright disputes you're in, the worse of a rating your channel has in the back end, and we see everything that you do. So I would suggest that you stay clear. Thank you.
Great. We have another question from Sumate, who's asking, I create car content, and sometimes when I start up the car and the radio comes on, and it can take me a couple of seconds to switch that off. And that's actually quite a good question, because we see a lot of live streamers listening to music in the background, and then obviously that's copyrighted, so you wouldn't be able to monetize it. So yes, definitely cut out the part where the radio is running if you want to monetize your content. We have another question from Ross Pixel Ninja, who says, I got denied my gold play button over spam, scams, and deception, yet I have no links or text. which could convey those things. Appeal was denied. Yeah, great question. We often hear from creators who don't get their button. So generally speaking, the button is and remains a privilege that unfortunately not every creator gets access to, even if they reach the threshold of 1 million subscribers or 100K for the silver button. Grace, can you talk a little bit about the spam, scams, and deception part that was flagged on this creator's channel?
Of course. So we historically we've had a few creators that have bought likes, they have purchased views from sort of bots and different softwares, etc. Now we also have a system on YouTube that analyzes videos based on that. Now, if we find that you have a lot of spam activity on your channel, unfortunately, that does not count as genuine views, genuine likes, or even comments. Reason why I strongly suggest that when you do see those emails from us letting you know that, hey, we have noticed some sort of spam activity, to review your channel and just see who's commenting, because sometimes when you have a lot of comments, you may think they're all genuine, but they're not. And just like Marietta said, it's a privilege, right, to have the play button, because we do see that the people who do get the play button have genuine viewers, a genuine community, and that's one of the fundamental values of YouTube, to have a genuine connection with your audience. And unfortunately, having a lot of bots on your videos is just not genuine enough for us to give you a play button. Doesn't mean that in future there is no chance for one. However, we strongly advise that you do analyze who does comment and not just look at the number of comments.
Great. We're at time. Thank you guys so much. I'm aware we didn't get to every single question today. I think maybe in a couple of months' time we can get Grace in again for maybe a longer session or Q&A. But we hope that this workshop helped you guys create content that is monetizable, and in the future you'll hopefully receive fewer yellow icons and more money from that. Yeah, thank you so much. We are going to bring this session to an end now. Your CPM, your partner manager, or myself, if I'm your partner manager, will reach out to you guys on Friday with like the next dates for the next sessions. Until then, yeah, thank you so much for joining. And Grace, thank you so much also for giving the session on policy.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye.